So, hello everybody. We are having a thunderstorm. So, hopefully, y'all will be able to hear me and the feed won't go into a delay. Have you been watching the videos of the puppies playing in the outdoor play world? Oh my gosh, that is my favorite thing ever. I love it. And part of, you'll see that there are so many different things going on in there. The swing that moves, and we put in wobble boards, and you see the little disc, like almost looks like a teeter totter, and there's stairs, and there's different beds and things to jump on, and different textures, and the ball pit, and all of that has a means to an end. It's fantastic fun for the puppies, but it is also huge socialization for them. They are socializing with each other's litters right now, which is so good for them. Diana's been exposing them to her other dogs, which is great, and she just got a big dog, and they do look like it's the best day ever, Michelle. So they're meeting all different shapes and sizes of dogs, and that is so important in socialization. Um, so the number one cause, what do you guys think? The number one cause is for dogs to, number one cause of death before 3 years old. It is from behavioral issues. And so there's this balance we have to maintain of exposing them to things and socializing them while they're young and open to it versus waiting for them to be completely vaccinated. And so I've learned through mistakes. So when we got Gracie, she had a really bad urinary tract infection, and so we couldn't vaccinate her for like 6 months, because you can't, if they're sick, you should never vaccinate. It says that in every pamphlet, humans and animals actually. So the vet and everybody was like, oh, you cannot take her anywhere. She's not safe. She's not vaccinated. So I did what they said. And we deal with anxiety and fear issues with Gracie all the time. She loves people because she was socialized a lot to people, loves everybody. But she's very nervous around other situations because she wasn't socialized properly. And that is something that's affected her for the rest of her life. When we had Savannah, she was the same way. We got her when she was 2, and she had not been socialized at all. So then what you get is you get inappropriate behaviors all the time, and managing those on the far end is almost impossible. Whereas if we if we socialize them properly in the beginning, it's easy. So the most important thing you need to do with your puppy when they come home, you're going to form a bond, and you're going to socialize them, and you're going to take care, and you're going to start training them. We only have a very short window to socialize in, because a puppy's brain is 80% developed by the time they're 16 weeks old. And the most critical growth rate in their brain occurs between 4 weeks and 12 weeks. That's why in raising them in the puppy culture program, we begin socializing at 4 weeks. We start introducing them to a new item in their playpen every single day. We start taking them to rooms in the house. We start putting them up on the grooming table. We start at 3.5 weeks. As soon as their ears open, we're introducing them to sounds. We play a sound CD for an hour every day, because you have a very narrow window. To 12 weeks is when most of it happens, and then you have from 12 to 16 weeks to do a little more. But once that window is closed, if a puppy sees something new or encounters a new experience, or maybe a different size, shape, color person, or a deeper voice or a higher voice, because dogs don't generalize things, right? So you think, well, I taught my dog how to sit in the kitchen. You also have to teach them how to sit in the living room, because they don't generalize that we do that everywhere. They get it faster, but you have to do it everywhere. You say, well, I introduced them to one new person. Okay, but when they meet my lab was terrified of bald men. So we used to take him to the pet store on a Saturday afternoon, and I would go up to every single bald guy I could find, and I would hand them a piece of chicken, and they would say, would you do me a huge favor? Would you feed this to my dog? And after we did that, it didn't take long at all, and he wasn't afraid of bald people anymore, because we changed his emotional response to them. catching up with myself in my notes. Sorry. So in those first 12 and 16 weeks, when they see something new or novel, they are curious, and their curiosity and their desire for social interaction outweighs their fear almost always. After that 16-week, anything new or novel, experience, person, object that they haven't noticed before, their brain tells them it's a threat. It tells them it's scary and it's a threat. And what do dogs do when they're scared? They isolate, or they shake and get scared, or they bark, or they get aggressive. And the number one reason for aggression in dogs is fear. And the number one reason for fear is lack of socialization. So, so it is critical from day one. You go at your dog's comfort level. Day one, they're socializing to your home. It's not the time to bring 14 neighbors over and Aunt Sally and Betty Sue. They need to wait. You want to form that special bond with your puppy that first day. Because you'll see the bond that I have with puppies, or that in this litter Diana and her kids have with puppies, but that's because those puppies know them and they trust them. So you'll have to build that with them. And one of the fastest ways to start off really poorly is to have a big old party when they get there and they don't know who their people are. They don't know what's happening, or other dogs. You just go at their pace. Because of the socialization we've done with these guys, they generally have a pretty quick pace with that, but you want to let them lead that. And so I even bring, if there's other animals or people in the home, everybody's sitting on the ground, hands in the lap, folded. Kids are quiet, calm voices, right? We love puppies. We're like, we get a high pitched voice and we get really excited, but that very much scares the puppy. So we want to let them feel out the environment and the sounds and all that first, before we start introducing them to other people and moving around normal life around them, if that makes sense. So what are some of the things that you want to socialize them to, your dogs to? And this, I love Baxter and Bella so much. Oh my gosh. I did today the class on barking class and on resource guarding. It was fantastic. I love Amy. She's just a phenomenal trainer. But she has a whole checklist of things to socialize your dog to before they're 16 weeks old. And we do as much as we can here. Like, I add things to each litter. I had a birthday in the fall, and John bought me this big helium balloon. The dogs freaked out. The puppies like lost it. So now we bring balloons in with every litter. And we start slowly. You don't just bring a big old Mack truck, remote control car and drive it in front of them. You go slowly. But so balloons or something. And the other thing I learned from Creed, I always show I have a mirror that, the full length mirrors, and I lay it long ways and they can see themselves in it. Because Creed, it took until he was, a year and a half to not bark every single night at his reflection in the sliding glass doors when it was dark outside. Okay, so let's talk about things you need to socialize them to. And socializing, there are so many different things that count. So the mailman comes. Oh, let's take the puppy out to see the car, the mail truck come, see the uniform. You take them by the fire station and let them see the firemen. Let them see the delivery people, the UPS truck, the FedEx truck. They all look different. They have different sounds, different uniforms. When you're doing the socialization, you're not like dragging your terrified dog to it. You're letting them lead. You're watching their body language. You're watching their comfort level. Remember that puppies go through fear stages. So, and around 8 weeks, but it can vary with each puppy. And that fear stage can last 20 minutes or it can last 10 days. It just depends on the puppy. We don't need to make them buck up and toughen up and just, get over it. You'll be just fine. Here, go into the scary man's arms. I remember people used to do it with my kids. They'd be like, I'm Uncle So-and-so. Let me hold him. And the kid's like this screaming because Uncle So-and-so is pretty scary to most people. So, you just want to really it's about respect. Respecting their emotional standpoint and vantage at that point and helping them to succeed. So you want to introduce them, not day one, but maybe into day one or day two, family, neighbors. Dogs of every color and every size. If you have a dog that only ever sees small dogs, they'll be terrified most likely of big dogs. Or only ever sees light colored dogs, they'll see like a German Shepherd colors or a black lab and be terrified because they've never seen that. Remember, dogs don't generalize. You want to introduce them to as many people as you can. Now, that doesn't mean that they have to go up and meet those people, but they need to see them, to be exposed to them, to know it's safe. All ages as well. Babies, infants, toddlers, teenagers, high-pitched, kids that are excited versus, elderly people. They need to see it all. Wheelchairs, walkers, canes. I don't know if you guys saw on Instagram last week, our little girl Olive, who's in Florida with her awesome parents from the fall litter, Elisa's litter, was in grandma's walker that rolls in the basket because the sidewalk was too hot. That I absolutely love that. And they've done such an amazing job with socializing Olive from day one. And I asked her mom, I said, how do you do this? And she said, I just walk in like we own the place and nobody ever stops me. So Olive goes to Costco and to Target and to every store imaginable. She just goes in. She has her attached to the cart, which is very important. I was in a pet store one time delivering a puppy, meeting family or people that were coming to get their puppy. And after about 45 minutes, the puppy jumped out of the puppy stroller, out of the cart, head first on the ground, screamed. It was terrible. So always attach them in. Olive's mommy got it's a luggage strap thing that she got at Home Depot that she loves. Okay, what are other things we need to socialize to? Hats and hoods. Even if you live where it's warm, have someone put a hood on. I'll never forget Riley, our lab, hadn't been exposed to that. I was in the parking lot at the pet store getting ready to go into class, and a girl came running, came out from behind our car and was like this far from us, and she had a winter coat on with a hood on and had fur over it. Riley tried to attack her. He thought it was an animal coming to get him. So you want to expose them to everything. So hoods, hats, sunglasses, beards, costumes. I love in Baxter and Bella, there's just this huge, something weird head that they put on and just walk around the puppies. Glasses, goggles, other animals, cats, parakeets, rabbits, you name it. Show them to them. Rolling suitcases. I do that with the puppies here. High heels, the sound of high heels on the floor. Shadows. They don't know what shadows are. If there's any device in your house that's different, like we have a infrared sauna. So introduce them to those kind of things while they're still young and they're not scared of those things. Let's see, hula hoops. I thought that was a great one. Riding tractor. We've always had riding tractors. Introduce them to that. Bikes, scooters. I have my son go out and ride the scooter around the puppies. Nail grinders, car wash. Those kind of things. Also surfaces. So you'll see us do all kinds of things with the puppies where they'll have, I'll put in the poppy bubble things that stuff shipped with for them to walk on. Or again, the uneven ground or something with a rough texture. Or I'll put in the plastic or the paper stuffing that comes in as packaging when you get something in the mail. I'll put boxes in for them to climb in and continue that when they come home. They love it. It's called enrichment and enriches their environment and their life, but they absolutely love it. My husband would get home from Costco and they give you the big boxes to carry things in, and that would just go to the puppies and they would just play with it, and then you put it away, then you take it away. Let's see, what else do I have on here? So sounds continue doing when they come home. We do it here, and Diana's doing it. But just take them to Walmart at midnight. That's hilarious, Michelle. It's true. It's really true. Garage door opener, thunder, doorbells, huge one. And a little tip. Dogs typically don't start barking until they're 6 months old. So, and this was another mistake I made. So y'all can benefit from the huge mistakes I've made. So my dogs didn't bark, so I didn't do any work with it. And then at 6 months, they started barking at anything and everything. So the time to train them about barking is before it becomes a problem, trust me. If any of you have seen the videos of me out there trying to get my dogs to stop barking at the neighbor's dogs, it's just a constant. It's a constant. But also in that, don't let anything repeat that you don't want repeated. So if they're barking, I drop everything. My son drops everything. We go running and we get them because we want them to know that's not okay. We don't want it to be reinforced. There are sounds, you can get them on YouTube, like delivery trucks, horns honking, planes, babies crying. That's the worst. That one's the worst. Every sense within every adult is like, make it stop. But so you can get soundtracks right off of YouTube and play them. And if your dog's nervous, start the volume very low. Remember, they can hear much more than you. And then work on, while that's going, you're giving them chicken. Like if there's a sound they're afraid of, you can desensitize to them. You create a CER, a conditioned emotional response that's positive to that sound by giving them like awesome chicken during it. And remember, you can just give tiny pieces. The treats I give puppies are like a quarter of the size of a pea. You don't want to stuff them. Use their food. Like give them a little bit in their bowl in the morning and then use like 2/3 of it and use that as treats throughout the day to feed them as you're training them. Okay, places to take them to. This is huge too. Take them in different cars. Take them to a farm if you can, to walk on a trail. A favorite place of ours is a farmer's market or downtown in a little cozy main street. If you're by water, take them out on a pier to walk. Pet stores are a favorite place to go. It's maybe not the best place to start. I usually start taking them into Lowe's. Lowe's is super dog friendly. The employees usually have treats on them and they love dogs and it's not so overwhelming. And I don't go on a Saturday, go during the week at first. Hobby Lobby is a great place to take them. Scheels, I don't know if you guys have Scheels. It's like the most awesome sporting store in the world. That's like our idea of a date night. We go to Scheels and they have elevators to ride with the puppies and all different kinds of sights and sounds to see. When you're doing, and socialize them to the harness. They're not used to a harness. They don't know what that is. So a tip with that, let's pretend this awesome little toy that I got for $1.98 at Walmart. It makes the most obnoxious squeak and my dogs love it. They each got one. So pretend this is the harness. You teach them touch, where they come up and they touch your hand. So then have them touch this. Yes, click and treat. With a high value treat, keep doing that. And then with the harness, what I do is I start placing it over their nose and I'll give them the treat through it. Yes. And use a high value if they're afraid of it, a high value treat. So you're going to socialize them to that. You get a new dog bed, you may have to socialize them to it. You get a new crate, you may have to socialize it to them. Maybe they're not afraid, maybe they're fine, but always just be prepared to have them touch it. That tells them they're taking ownership of it and it's theirs. Making sure I covered everything. And again, I love in Baxter and Bella, every unit has different socialization places to go. And Amy even tells you what to do when you get there. Like it's just fantastic. Also, your field trips don't have to be long. It can be 5 minutes. It can be 15 minutes. It does not have to be long. We want the dogs relaxed and enjoying it. We want them curious. We don't want them terrified. If they are terrified, we never force them, never coax them. Now you can lure them. It's okay. Come on. You're big and brave. But if they don't want to come, we never make them. Don't drag them. What I'll do, for example, there was our neighbor had a bike and they tipped it over in their yard and Creed thought it was going to kill him. I mean, he like literally just thought this thing was going to kill him. So I had him on the leash and I'm trying to walk him up to it and he's like thinking, he's walking like really scared and down low and hunched and everything. And so I knew he wasn't going to go to it. So I just walked over to the bike and I just started turning the wheel really slowly. I'm like, what a cool bike. This is so great. Look at this, Creed. And so he'd walk a little closer. You don't pull him. You don't push him, nothing. And then he was scared. So then I just turned my back to the bike and I sat on the ground right with the bike, with the bike right behind my back. Because if you do that, they're like, whoa, well, she's not afraid of it. And you're down low so they feel safe. And then maybe they feel safe to go up and explore it with you there. If they don't, that's okay. Don't force them. For socialization to count, it has to be positive. It has to be neutral or positive. If they get terrified, that one didn't count. It actually did damage, not help. So, yeah, so just work with your puppy, watch their body language. Amy did an amazing class. What was the one today I was watching? It was on resource guarding, and different ways to read when your dog is really upset. And she has a class on body language. And there's another one, another trainer I really like is called Kiko Pup, Kiko Pup, and she's on YouTube. And she's got a good one on this too, on reading dogs' body language. And I'll post a link to that one. So like if the dog's ears are back, if you see the whites of their eyes a lot, like their head is away from the item, looking away, that's what dogs do to say, I'm not a threat to you, don't attack me, but you see the whites of their eyes, that means they're scared. Or if they're hunched low, if their body is stiff, mouth tightly clenched, they'll also, sometimes the tail will, if it's straight up and not moving, or straight up and wagging, both of those mean back off, danger, we're scared. So recognize those cues. Read your dog's body language. Are they tense or are they not? If they are, try increasing the distance from the scary bald guy in PetSmart. Back up a little bit and let him see it. I do stuff with my dogs all the time when we're out on walks, because they have other dog issues. So I will wait with them at a distance where they feel safe. I'm doing watch me, giving them high value treats when they're hungry. And then once that dog is far enough past us, we just go up and sit where my dogs are comfortable and let my dogs watch. So those dogs are walking away and I'm clicking and treating as they need to. And it's funny, Gracie, you'll stare at the dog and I'll give her a treat. And she's like, but she won't look away. So and that's that when that's happening, she's too high a threshold. You want them back where they're able to be relaxed and able to, interact with you. They're able to look away and watch me, but then they can look back. They're not tense. So the whole idea of socialization is to introduce them to as many stimuli as you can safely, without overwhelming them, being under threshold. By threshold, I mean where they're not scared, they're not tense, they're not barking. You want it to be a short period of time so they're not getting exhausted. Remember, these guys, this is a huge mental exercise when we're taking them out and socializing them. They're sniffing, they're experiencing, and it's exhausting to little puppies. So if they're starting to tank, it's time to go before, just like a toddler, right? And sometimes, like John and I took Elise to Lowe's. She loved it. We were buying new flooring for something. I don't remember what. So we were in the flooring department. The flooring guy loved Elise. He told us we can only come back if we bring her. We're not allowed back without her. And I would work with her a little bit, and then she's funny. She'll whimper when she's had it. She'll just go. So then I just picked her up and I just held her, or I set her on top of, there was a display of these big boxes of flooring, and I just set her on top of that with me. She had her harness on. Always do a front hook harness, because if it's a back hook, they'll pull harder. And she would just sat there for a while, took a break, and then after 15 minutes, she wanted to go train again. So then we went and trained. We went and met some people. While you're there, do sits, lie down, do puppy calisthenics, run through what they know. Touch, sit, lie down, stand, change your order so they don't know and preempt and guess what you're doing. And then if they get tired again, take a break. I love Hobby Lobby. That's a great place to do it because it's not super busy, but it's a big environment for them to see things. So again, we want to introduce to as many stimuli as we can safely and comfortably for the puppy so that it's a positive or neutral experience. We want them to not have fear, withdrawal, or avoidance happening, and we don't want to force them. But we want to if you can, every single day, introduce them until they're 16 weeks old. And then after that 16-week mark, you really need to continue until a year old. You don't have to do it every day, but certainly a couple times a week at least, if not more. Get them out walking in a different neighborhood. Or the more you introduce them to, the more positive experiences they have with people, sounds, smells, objects, events, a farmer's market, a soccer game. Even if you don't have kids playing soccer, go watch the soccer game for a few minutes. And use that as a training experience, right? So people are like, can I pet your puppy? Absolutely, as long as 4 are on the floor, all 4 paws on the floor. And please tell people to pet from underneath. Where do people always go to pet? Top of the head. What do you do if someone you don't know comes up to you and wants to touch top of your head? You're like, dude, don't touch me, right? So go under their chin where they don't feel threatened. Let them sniff you. and then just maybe pet their neck or their chest. None on the body, none on top of the head. So just say, I'd love for you to pet him. We're training. Can I tell you what we're working on? So as long as he keeps all 4 feet on the floor, and I'm going to feed him treats while you're petting him. And he works best if you pet him under his neck. He feels safe if you pet him there. Let him sniff you and then pet there. But if his paws jump up, I'm stepping on his leash so he can't jump up. But if he tries, I usually put my thumb through their harness and just kind of pull him down. And then you stop treating and they have to stop petting. You just say, okay, you pause for one sec. We want you to have 4 on the floor, little man, before you can get pet. And that's awesome experience for them as well. So the more of those positive experiences you can have, up to 16 weeks, and then continue them to the first year, the more your dog is going to have a better quality of life, and they're going to be able to manage themselves as life happens around them better, and they're going to be more enjoyable for you as well as anybody that's around them. And of course, if our dog is neurotic and has issues, we still love them, but it's not as joyous of a time and experience with our pet as it could be, because they have issues that are annoying. It's really annoying when my dogs bark at the neighbor's dogs. It's really annoying. I would like to say that most of the times the neighbor's dogs start it, but I feel like that, redeems me somewhat, but it doesn't really. But it's a hassle. It's just a constant thing. So if I had done that properly in the beginning, it would be a much more enjoyable situation. And again, I just want to reiterate, we cannot wait until vaccines are done. That is the most detrimental thing to a dog, because again, I said behavioral issues are the number one reason dogs are put to sleep or die, or are relinquished to a shelter because under 3 years old. Number one reason is behavior issues. And whose fault is that every single time? It would be the human's fault. Every single time. It's not that my dogs are bad in doing that. That was my fault. With the vaccinations, there was a study done, I think they did it with 500 German Shepherds, and Puppy Culture talks about this too, where they tested dogs that did not have all of their vaccines. Because when the puppies come to you, they will have 1 vaccine for parvo and distemper. And we have to spread those out because you don't know when mom's immunity stops. It's different for every puppy. And if we vaccinate them when mom's immunity is still in them, that will actually neutralize the vaccine. So it does no good. But always remember, vaccines are very costly to our bodies. They serve a purpose, and that's necessary. Hi, Carly. But they do tax a puppy's immune system, and a human's. They tax our immune system. They're designed to cause a reaction in your immune system. And there are a lot of toxins in with every vaccine. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not bashing them, but these just are the facts. And so we can detox them, and we need to be smart about when we give those vaccines, and we need to be smart about what vaccines we give. And I will address that as well with you guys. And we'll do a Facebook Live on it. And I'm going to be honest too, vets are going to tell you something totally different than the health professionals with dogs now. If a vet has been out of school for more than 10 years, they have not been taught anything other than, here's the vaccine chart. If you don't give it all these vaccines every 2 weeks, they're going to die. Basically is what they tell them. And vets have horrible experiences with dogs that were raised in puppy mills outside with wild animal dung, and never given strong immune systems, never fed good food for them, never given like Life's Abundance is packed with nutrients and with prebiotics and probiotics and a complete antioxidant system, which is one of the only dog foods with a complete antioxidant system in it. It's slow cooked, so it's not toxic like every other kibble. It's, these puppies aren't being raised where they're in a clean environment, where they're feeling safe and warm. There's stress, which greatly taxes their immune system as well, and that leaves them open to disease. That is a totally different situation than the way these puppies are raised and how you're going to treat them. So yes, the vets have horrible stories, but it probably was from a puppy mill, and just lack of education on the owner's part about how to protect their pet. So with that study, I'm interrupting myself. I have so many thoughts going. There were 500 German Shepherds tested. They only had their first vaccine, and they went at 8 weeks old into puppy classes. Out of all 500, and these were puppy classes in public places. A lot of them were pet stores. I've done very well at PetSmart and Petco. You always check the trainers first. Go in and watch a class ahead of time. But their policies are to only use positive training. But not one puppy got parvo, not one out of all 500. And they only had one vaccine. So behavioralists, breeders, puppy trainers, and vets who do the research now that's so different completely understand it's actually a risk to the puppy's well-being and health and for the rest of their lives if we don't socialize them. What are the things we can do? So the number one way, the disease we're really concerned about is parvo. And it's in the soil from dog feces. Never, ever, ever let your dog sniff another dog's poop. I don't care if you're vaccinated, and they are, but because that's where parvo is, but that's also Giardia, which is a horrific parasite. And I posted an article a while ago about the percentage of dog parks that had Giardia in them and dog poop piles. So especially before they're vaccinated, they don't go to public parks. They don't go to, or other dogs have walked. They don't go to dog parks. Like, it just doesn't happen. I do take mine to pet stores after they've had their first vaccine. That is a choice you have to make. They need to go to pet stores. I let mine walk on the floor because I know 500 German Shepherds did, and not one of them got parvo. And I know that my dog's immune system is strong. They don't have parasites, which increases occurrence of parvo. And I don't let them walk where another dog has peed on the end cap type thing. I don't let them smell that stuff. But I never let them in the grass outside of a pet store. If we're in a pet class and we've got to go potty, we will go around the building where nobody else has ever been to go. If don't stop at rest stops and let them go wherever their dog goes, go to a restaurant and let them go in the grass outside of that. Don't let them sniff other dogs' rear ends. People will say, at the pet store, can my dog meet yours? Actually, not yet. We're not fully protected yet. So I don't let them, because if that dog sniffed another dog's rear end that had parvo, and then my dog sniffs their nose type thing, right? Never let your puppy drink out of a water container that another puppy has drank out of that you don't know. And I know I sound like a fanatic, but that is a huge way that parasites and diseases are transferred. So when I would take my dog out, like we go for a walk, I bring our own container of filtered water. And that's only if somebody else wants to drink, you say, I'm so sorry. I can't. She's not fully protected. I'll just tell them that and leave it alone. And they can think you're crazy. That's all right. Won't be the first time with me anyway. You can't wait until vaccines are done. So when you go in the pet store, carry them, put them in a baby sling, put a blanket down in the cart, and put them in the cart attached to the cart, the leash, so they can't jump out. It is crucial that you take them out. I have a dog stroller. Take them in that. It's so important that window up to 12 weeks and then 16 weeks and then through a year, they are going out and socializing all the time. And the consequences, if we don't, are increased fear and generally increased aggression, avoidance and antisocial behaviors, social detachment, barking, biting, that kind of stuff. These are some things I've talked about. Let them see and smell and hear at their own pace. And that's a big thing we do too, especially with Gracie. Gracie just we'll go on a walk and she starts to get nervous because it's an area she hasn't been. We just stop and let her sniff and see things. So we'll just stop, and maybe for a minute, maybe 2 minutes. So go in the pet store, they're taking it all in. Don't talk to them. Don't, it's not the time for the kids to be like, talking, trying to get them to play or interact. Let them just do their thing and check it all out. And you can give little reassuring, yes, good girl, and that kind of thing, and show your body language, you're calm, and they'll pick up on that as well. Other safe places to go would be friends' yards and houses that their dogs are well protected. Bus stations, car rides, drive-thrus are great. Bank teller drive-thru. Marshalls, Home Goods, and TJ Maxx, you're allowed to bring puppies in there. Shields, like I said earlier, Lowe's, Home Depot, sometimes Target. And like Olive's mom said, just act like you own the place and walk in with them and they'll be fine. Most of the time they are. If they get scared, encourage them to be brave, give them a treat, bring treats to it. Like that's what I would do with the harnesses. I put treats in the harness first for them to sniff and they're touching it. But if they're scared, increase your distance from whatever that thing is. You can support and comfort them. Good boy, you're all right. It's okay, buddy. You want to sit in my lap? You're okay, but we can't coddle them. Oh, poor baby. And because that is the reward that's telling them, yes, that thing is scary. So no coddling, but support. Now, if your dog gets hurt in something, absolutely pick them up, and it would be inhumane not to. But if they're just scared about something, just increase the distance. It's okay, bud. It's all right. And then back off, type thing. Turn the volume down on the TV or the CD or whatever if it's too loud. Oh, and introducing to every vacuum cleaner sounds different. Every blender, like we have a Vitamix, they all sound different. And I don't know if y'all saw the video where I take the dinosaur that if you push their foot down, their eyes light up and they make the roar noise. So when I took that to the puppies, I just set it in the middle of their playpen for probably a good 20 minutes or so. They sniffed it, they checked it all out. And then when they were all pretty far away from it, I hit the paw so it made the noise once. You're watching reactions. If they're really freaked out, you don't do it again. Maybe you need to increase distance. So same thing with your vacuum cleaner. Start it out where you put the vacuum cleaner in the middle of the floor with it unplugged. It's not making any noise. Do that for a couple of days. Let them sniff it. Let them walk up to it. Maybe run it where it's not plugged in and see that it moves. And then maybe have someone in the other room with them and you're in here and you run it. And then just as they're comfortable, bring them closer type thing. A tip, don't ever let them chase a mop, a broom. You're washing the floor like this. That's awakening a chase instinct, and they will do it forever, and it's awful. Creed came with a chase instinct like I've never seen, because they would wipe the floor and the puppies would chase the cloth or whatever they were wiping the floor with. So then you're teaching leave it. And even yesterday, I was mopping upstairs and he tried it, and I said, leave it, and he did, and he was good. So that's a little hint in your socialization. But that's another thing. Bring out mops, brooms, that kind of thing. Leaf blowers, a big broom for the driveway, that kind of thing. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to type them in, or if there's something that I've missed, please feel free. So basically, unsocialized puppies will have problems, and those problems generally grow, and they become worse and worse and worse. A big thing a big issue nowadays is called COVID puppies, where these puppies everybody bought puppies with COVID and they weren't socialized, and it's a big issue in America. So dog trainers are popping up everywhere trying to go back and fix it, but some things you can't fix once it's done, or you'll take a lifetime doing what would have taken 2 minutes when they were young. Again, just let them look around, take it in, do watch me's when you're there, watch me. And if they can't, then back off. Then you're too close to whatever. And just make it a fun time. It doesn't have to take long. It can just be short. Remember, when you take them with you, do not leave them in the car if it's greater than 65 degrees. Within minutes, it can be over 120 degrees in your car. But take them with you everywhere. Have fun with it. All right. If you have more questions, feel free to type it in the chat later, or to reach out to me. And I hope this was helpful. Everybody have a great night.